Okay, so quiz show. How do you know what the next best question is? How do you know which question to ask is the next best question? You're in a session, you're going. How do you know this is the best question to ask next?
It's going to narrow things and keep
Yeah,
them in their experience rather than taking them out.
exactly. So it has something to do with you're utilizing what was said. You're utilizing the client. Good. Love that.
It's not a freaking why question.
It's not a solution-based question. It's not a why question. It's not a defensive question. It's not a judgmental question, definitely. Yep. There's a word I'm looking for right now that somebody's gonna have to come up with. The best question is always the most. Can't believe it's not in my notes. I can't. I have to review it now. What leads our questioning? What's the number one leader of our questioning?
Curious?
Yes, module one, day one, curiosity. It's what you're the most genuinely curious about. So all the things you guys said, plus curiosity. Curiosity is driven by intuition, is driven by feeling. So as long as it meets all the criteria we just said, the next best question is what the hell do you actually want to find out? What do you want to really know? Even if it's hard, even if it's the thing the person doesn't really want to answer. Okay, number two, how do you know if you're on the right track with questions?
I think you said like the client will say something about like, wow, that's a really good question.
That's a great indication.
And then you
That's like the
know.
most obvious one. If they love it and they say, I never thought about that and throw themselves into a trance, that's great. Also, you're on the right track when trance emerges. When you see any signs of trance, you know you're on the right track. If they're really hypnotized, like in without coming out, then you're, you know, in the money. Then it really doesn't even matter what you say, but you have to keep going because that's what's maintaining the hypnosis. So unconsciousness, emergence of trance, verbal cue that it's going correctly, that they like it. What else? You know you're on the right track when the client relaxes, becomes more comfortable, becomes more human, reveals more, softens, opens. I often see them like lose years right in front of me visually, where they're like look different. I even saw this on a teenager recently, where she looked like, I don't know, a child version of herself or something. But you saw like the stress come off, actually. So this is all part of the observation process, right? Are the questions going somewhere? Well, is the client giving me any of that stuff? If not, I have to do something else. But like that's the beauty of curious questions is it will always work. You'll always get to what I'm saying. What do you do if you get stuck? What do you do if you can't remember the next question or you can't think of what to say? Or you just don't know what's the direction? Or maybe you got confused or lost or something.
I often will ask, so what's happening right now?
Right? Just catch up. That's a very useful question. What's happening? What are you thinking? What's going on? Exactly. Or, I mean, I think that's the right answer. Or you can use a non sequitur because a non sequitur is a non sequitur, so it doesn't have to follow in the conversation. So it could be any of our, 100 whatever cheat sheet list that you have looking at this, like out of the corner of your eye and thinking like, oh, when I run out of questions, one thing I'd like to know is, you know, what's the best case scenario? That's a nice one. And how are you going to get there? And what quality do you need to develop? These are all questions that are like standalone questions. So that's why you need to practice and get familiar with your question sheet so that you always know, oh, there's one. So you guys know I've told you all this before. I still use my same original question sheets from the beginning, and I always spread them out around me, and I hardly ever use them anymore. But that's the kind of thing I like them for. Like, what if I need a non sequitur? Or like I was on holiday, it took 3 weeks off basically for Christmas, New Year's, travel, whatever. Well, then I don't remember all my questions so great right now. So I look at my list, I study my list, I keep it close to me. Okay, we're almost done. When do you use a level 2 question versus a level 1 question? So level 1 questions are standard ACH problem solving questions, I call them, right? Level 2 questions are always
Motivation.
exactly, Royson, more motivational, more personal, more driven by the client. So how do you know when to use one versus the other?
Suppose when they're stuck or where you're kind of caught in that loop and you want to motivate them, get them motivated.
I don't know about that though, because when you want to get them motivated is not
Or
the
not, yeah, when they need to be motivated.
even that is based on what you think.
Okay.
You're on the right track though. Keep going.
Um,
And you're right. I don't want to say you're wrong either. You're right. You can ask them what will you get out of that or what is your motivation for that? That is fair game. But also, when they advertise to you any feature of the point of this whole thing, you abandon problem solving immediately and build on their own momentum. So I
mm,
always give the priority to their reason for doing something when they offer it. I don't always give the priority to me checking for that motivation because that becomes more control, me directing it. But sometimes I do, as I said in number 6, manipulation is okay if it's ethical, in my opinion. So, like Royson was right. Sometimes you need to fish for that motivation. But what I was really wanting out of that answer is any sign that the client gives you that they're not in the middle of a problem or a not means level 2. Because the way I teach it and the way I practice it, that's faster and it's more fun. It's more effective. Who wants to undo a knot when they could just look into the future and be excited? I only undo knots when they need to be undone, not just, for the point of doing it. So level 2, always more important to me in a certain way because it's more effective for the client. So I'm always listening for that.
Can
Yep,
you say more about that, Maya?
sure.
Because you just blew my mind. Because I thought, yeah, I
Well,
thought,
good. It only took me 77 minutes.
I
That's,
thought, I thought, yeah, it's like we get to those knots and we untie them.
yes. But a knot will untie itself through motivation. So if the
Mm,
client is willing to
yeah.
use their own purpose, which is much more effective than me leading them into the knot being untied. But the power of untying knots is our like, that's our warrior skill. So I protect that at all costs and I use it, very um I don't want to say sparsely because I use it all the time, but I don't think that, like if you take my level 2, the very first thing you'll see me say in level 2 is level 1 questions, which are problem solving questions, not untying questions. They're like a branding fork or branding, whatever that thing is that you put on a cow or a horse. And it's like, and I can even hear that sometimes. Like that's what it feels like to me when a knot gets untied. It's like, It's very strong medicine. It's fiery. And so I don't ever want to make that my main skill because then it becomes interrogative or not interrogative, but uh what is that word? When you're interviewing someone, like it becomes like a lawyer thing. But that's not my purpose. My purpose is just to create a rapport, is just to create a feeling. So
Interrogative.
interrogative, thank you. That's exactly right. Exactly. I don't want to do that. And especially with analytical people, they will let you interrogate them because they like ACH. They're driven. Their adrenaline is into the whole like, I can answer that, I can answer that, I can answer. But that doesn't necessarily make progress. It can be fun. It can be interesting. Sometimes I like it with the lawyers because I can keep up with them. And then eventually they're like, okay, I'm tired. I need to, let's actually get to my problem. So you can use it to your advantage if that's the game they want to play, by all means. But I don't necessarily, and I will say too, when I started ACH, I think everybody when they're starting ACH uses that because it's like so weird and so magical. But after a while, I also found like it's too hot. It burns too hot. So now it's much more like, how much traction can I get out of this client from their own vision and their own momentum? And then can I untie the knots? And I mean, this sounds strategic now, but that's not how I do it in the session. I'm just tracking at the rate that they're talking. If it's a knot, I'll do that. If it's a motivation, I'll do that. If it's both at the same time, I'll choose the motivation because it's lower friction. You'll know. Your gut always knows. We already did what questions are best avoided. You guys know the answer to that. Well, this is my point for this whole year or whatever it ends up being. I was trying to do like 45 minutes instruction, quiz show, and then leave you guys a little time to ask questions. So I was a little long as usual, but do you guys have questions? Did it make sense what I said today? Any problems you're having with clients, business, yourself? I got time. I mean, and that's part of the purpose of having this group is so that you can troubleshoot. I want you to like feel free. Bring your problems, bring your client problems, bring your questions. If you have business issues, it's not exactly that anymore, but we can still deal with them. So I'm only talking because it's the first day of the year right now, and I'm not sure what you guys want or need, but you're more than welcome. So drop your questions in the group. Prefer that to messaging me because it's easier for me to keep track of. And also, whatever you want as the topics for these skills, you can ask for those as well. Anybody have any special requests? I'm going to do some emotional stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, um, one of the cores of this kind of work seems to be like how we can most like thoroughly let go in a session.
Good. Love
And
that.
so maybe some, yeah,
Yeah, like
I'll like
you're,
skill building around like
I
just
like
letting
that.
go. Like, I don't really care what the next question is that comes out of my mouth. Like, I don't know. I just want to know what your deal is. And,
Ellie, that is brilliant. I love that.
you
That's a
know,
great, and I can really, I feel, help you because I'll just describe to you the method and experience that I have developed and have. So that's a really good topic. I love it.
Hmm.
Isn't it? That's what Jody asked earlier. How do I get more at ease with it?
yeah.
You guys know what I'm going to say though, right?
Practice.
It's funny being a teacher because you're always like, don't they already know what I'm going to say?
Practice.
No, practice is one of them, but I have a huge other soapbox that I'm always on. Let's end with that. What is the most essential preparation you can possibly have for letting go and doing a good job?
Self-care.
Thank you. You have to be rested. You have to be nourished. You have to be exercised. You have to be at some level of peace with your life. It's not perfect. You guys know I have problems too, but you do have to have some amount of that. So any amount of why am I not letting go has something to do with something that's deficient in yourself. And I don't mean deficient in a negative way. I mean unseen, unheld, untreated. But still, that's a great question. And I think we could work on that as a group for sure. I would like this group to be more interactive, like less of me talking and more conversational. So I guess that's up to me to ask better questions. But I just want to encourage you to like talk.
What do you do when you get triggered?
By the client?
Yes.
Well, that is another good question. I like
Hmm.
that. I feel like, do I have enough time to answer that? What? It depends on what the trigger is, doesn't it? What kind of trigger?
Yeah, I don't mean like the like, oh my God, I just feel so badly for you, or like the I'm gonna cry trigger. It's the, oh shit, that's one of my core wounds, and now I'm just like freaking out inside. That one.
That's exactly why I feel like the self-care is essential because I mean, I don't know how to say this. I try not to have extreme unhealed wounds. And I mean, you know,
Hmm.
Jody, you and I are friends. You know that I have like major life problems,
Hmm.
like serious ones at some junctures that some people would say are like unhealed wounds. But at the level of my process with it, there's enough acceptance that it doesn't throw me into a loop when I'm in the session.
It's only ever happened once, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh fuck.
Well, so what did you do?
I just sat there for a minute
Yeah, exactly. You
and
just
like
collect
pushed my
yourself.
feet on the ground, and I have crystals on my desk, and I just picked up one of the crystals and squeezed it really, really hard, took a big drink of my coffee and
That's
was like,
right.
okay, just breathe for a second. This isn't yours. This isn't
Exactly.
yours.
That's right. You
But I
re-regulate yourself.
but
That's right.
I with the layer with that is like, oh my God, I hope they can't see what's happening.
I know. That's what I was gonna say is the only issue is as soon as our energy is in any way dinged, it does affect the client and the outcome. And you know, like I'm kind of extreme about that. I mean, I think like half a percentage ding is very interrupting.
Hmm.
So I have like a low tolerance for any amount of, and I mean, let me say, hypnosis is very robust. I'm not saying it's fragile. It's not fragile. It's very strong. You can you can leave and come back. You know, you can like I don't think it's something that's like a glass entity that we have to like baby around. But at the same time, I would also say that like the quality of my attention when I'm doing a session is impeccable.
Hmm.
I mean, like, I do not look around. I'm not distracted by my office. I'm not distracted by my body. I don't need to go to the bathroom. I don't need to scratch. I don't need to even, I mean, like, shift a little bit, but like, I'm stunned sometimes how long I've sat in one spot. Like I'll notice the client has shifted like 30 times while my leg is still the same way as it started. And it's not better or worse. I'm not saying we have to like be some kind of whatever statues or whatever. But I'm just saying like when I'm there, it's like sex. It's like meditation. It's like I'm really committed to the interaction, right? Like when I say
Hmm.
it's like sex, I mean it's just like it's a joint thing. If one person starts to be a little bit well, it's not the same. I mean, it's still, you can still do it, but it's not intimate the same way. So, like,
Hmm.
my attention is really good quality.
Hmm.
And I've already told you guys, like, they go to the bathroom, they get confused, whatever. Nothing is disturbing my attention. I'm still just doing the same. Even if the chair is empty, I'm still watching the chair, just waiting for something to happen. But that
Hmm.
is all going back to this is why you have to feel fine. This is why you have to feel. And you know what's interesting? When I studied myself after the yesterday session, I had a low level headache, which is very rare for me, like extremely rare because I'm so obsessed with feeling fine. But I didn't quite notice it when I sat down, but then my head was hurting at the end. So it was, it's probably a combination of our energies were just not fully right there,
Hmm.
which happens very rarely to me, like almost never. But see, that's a error in me. Not exactly because I don't think of it that way. But I don't want that experience for two reasons. Number one, not the best quality experience for the client. Number two, I have to go back to step one now on the next visit. Whereas normally I would have a huge launching pad now. I don't like that. I feel dissatisfied by it, and it also is not my product.
Hmm.
Okay, live and learn, move on. It's not the end of the world, but it's not how I like it.
So would you have postponed that session
For what?
for your because of a headache?
That's a good question. If I had been tracking myself a little better at that time, I didn't even consider it because it had been rescheduled by her already. And
Hmm.
I felt she needed to be there at that moment.
Okay.
But this is why it's also interesting too, because I mean, I don't want to, I really try to protect my clients and not give away all their private details, but I will add one more thing, which is something then occurred during the session, which immediately after she was like, "You're never going to believe this." And I think that's always interesting because you'll at the beginning be frustrated with people who reschedule and people who don't respect your time and this and that. But the more I've lived it, isn't this true, Royson? They come at the exact moment where the universe is like,
It's time.
and then you're like, what? That was so weird. But that's just how I think the energy has orchestrated that experience.
Hmm.
So even though it wasn't like exactly what I wanted, I still think it was correct for what it was. And I really like don't take it past that. Like I sat in my office for a good 10 minutes after being like, okay, we're gonna have to let this one go now. No leaving the office until it's let go because it's not following me into my bedroom and into my kid's space and everything else.
Hmm.
But so that's kind of the same question you asked about, well, what do I do if I get triggered? Like you work on yourself.
Hmm.
You're a therapist, you know what to do, so you just do it and call it a day. But still, let's work on that because I think that's a great topic that you said, letting go as a skill.
Hmm.
You guys know I have my letting go group coming up in spring, so it'll be a good practice for me. The letting go group is coming. Yes, Kelly, it's a group about learning to let go.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh, cool.
One of
Not
the
just for
hardest things I've ever
therapists.
learned.
Pardon?
It's one of the hardest things I've ever learned how to do.
I know, I still am not that great at it, but at least I'm catching on somewhat. But that's not going to be a group for ACH. That's just a group for life.